Namaste and welcome to another episode of the Bharatvaarta Weekly. I am Roshan Cariappa and we have Abhishek Paul as well to run you through the news and events of the week that was. I think this week it's more of a Vishwa Varta than a Bharatvaarta. Tons of stuff to cover from the international front. Reports just coming in that there are some clashes between Israel and Palestine at this point of time. Palestinian militants have infiltrated Israel and are causing, a number of strikes there. We'll also talk about the Moldovan new president elect winning on the India Out campaign. And the significance of that for us in the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, we'll talk about the milestone achievement by India in the Asian Games. Our teams have secured 100 medals there. Isbar Saupar has been achieved. On the US front, multiple things again. We'll talk about the ongoing immigration crisis, the indictment charges against, former President Trump, and more. All of this on this Bharatvaarta Weekly. If this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to subscribe to us or follow us on whatever platform you get your podcasts on. We publish episodes on politics, policy, and culture a few times a week. And support this content and help more people discover this. Hey Abhishek, let's talk about this report of a number of Palestinian militants infiltrating Israel. It has also prompted Israel to order its residents across the region to stay indoors. We're hearing of casualties and strikes and so on and so forth. What have you read about this?
Yeah, so basically, as we speak, this is like a developing story, and
Yeah.
you won't really find much information through formal news reports, etc. Right? It's all basically coming out as on Twitter. So yeah, I think the situation is really, really bad right now in Israel. Some unknown number of Hamas militants or terrorists have sort of entered southern Israel and are basically firing at civilians. This is also being simultaneously they're also doing a massive amount of rocket attacks, right? And they're doing this on a holiday in Israel, right? And so I don't know what is the exact situation or reason behind this, but seems like a massive intelligence failure on the part of Israel. And so I think they will take some time to regroup and hit back, right? Which obviously we expect that the Israelis will hit back very hard. But for now, the situation is very unfortunate, and I do expect to see a very large number of civilian deaths, unfortunately, because of the nature of the attack, right? Where gunmen have entered civilian areas and have the ability to fire sort of indiscriminately, right? So yeah, very grim situation, and hopefully Israel can get things under control very quickly.
Yeah, seems like an episode of Fauda actually. I mean, it's crazy, and yeah, I mean, I don't know how these people live with a constant threat of such strikes, on a daily basis. Certainly, our prayers with those who are affected. Moving on, last week the frontrunner and opposition candidate Mohammad Muizu became the president-elect in Maldives, defeating incumbent Ibrahim Soli. The results of this election spells a new headache for India as Muizu is pro-China and anti-India, so much so that his campaign slogan was India Out. Muizu has already asked that Indian troops withdraw from the country and argued that their presence undermined their sovereignty. I think for a matter of perspective, we should clarify that when you say Indian troops in Maldives, I mean we're talking about 70 to 80 people. At least those are the reports that have come out, right? I mean, we don't know if the numbers are more or less. These are certainly not disclosed. And in that sense, Abhishek, what is the significance of this, with this whole power play in the Indian Ocean?
Yeah, I think in the last few elections in Maldives, what you've had is sort of alternate sides winning. And by alternate sides, I mean one side of the political spectrum is sort of pro China, and the other side is pro India, right? And in the last 5 years, India had the upper hand, right? A government which was sort of very open to embracing India in terms of, cooperating on the military and security front, right? And so India has sort of heavily invested in the Maldives with a lot of technology and equipment, whether it is in the form of radars or whether it is in the form of aircrafts, whether it is in fact placing some small number of Indian troops there for strategic purposes. The Quad was also, counting on Maldives remaining under the Indian influence so that, it would be a sort of linchpin in the Indo-Pacific. So now what has happened is obviously this sort of growing closeness with India, led by their previous prime minister, allowed the opposition to spread an anti-India campaign, which kind of seems to have worked, right? And they have won the election. And ideologically, also, this party is the Progressive Party of Maldives is supposed to be close to China, right? But uh, what I think people now expect is that there will be some sort of middle ground that they will try to seek, because the Maldives still do need to be, having some sort of cooperation with India. Prime Minister Modi did congratulate the new Prime Minister, right? So, and it is expected that Mohammad Muizu's first foreign trip might be India as well, right? And so, even though during the campaign he has taken a very strong anti-India rhetoric, chances are that he will soften that now and try to sort of maybe take the middle path between India and China. But obviously, India will lose a bit of the influence and closeness that had been developing over the last few years, and it will probably take a while before we can get back to that situation.
Yeah. So India has reportedly invested about $3.5 billion in infrastructure construction projects in Maldives, and don't forget that we sent troops to Maldives in 1988 to thwart a coup attempt that would have ousted the dictator that we were backing at that time. Maumoon Abdul Gayoom. Right, and Gayoom was anyway out of power 20 years later, following the country's first democratic election. Yeah, so interesting situation. Let's see how this develops. Meanwhile, last week, India crossed the 100 medal mark for the first time ever in the Asian Games with 25 gold, 35 silver, and 40 bronze medals. This marks a historic moment for India as the country has seen a major improvement in the performance of its players. X or Twitter has erupted with joy, congratulating all athletes and trending is bar saw par. Abhishek, fantastic performance by the athletes, notwithstanding some allegations of cheating and poor sportsmanship from the host country.
Yeah, I think this has been a really spectacular campaign by India at the Asian Games. So to get to the promised number, right? Like there's a lot of hype around the whole uh, contingent that they have to get 200 medals and they have delivered, right? Which kind of speaks volumes to the performance of the athletes. And India is now beginning to sort of do very well in various kinds of sports, right? And it's no longer limited to our traditional, places, traditional sports where India used to do well. So I think the most heartening for me has been how well India has done in athletics, right? Which is a discipline where you have a large number of medals, right? And so once a nation starts doing well in athletics, it automatically is able to, perform very well at these international events. And obviously, now we are becoming very good at the Asian level. It may take a decade or two to become very competitive at the international Olympics level, let's say. But someone like Neeraj Chopra's and his excellence has shown that it is perfectly possible for Indians to do to be world class as well, right? And so yeah, really heartening to see India do so well. I hope this kind of gives more momentum to athletes across all disciplines, right, in India. That uh, because right now, I mean, for an athlete in India, apart from, let's say the unfortunate situation that we saw with wrestling, right, where you have political controversies and things like that coming up. Other than that, I think uh, we have now reached a level where, we have the ability to get world class training, world class facilities, world class nutrition, all the sort of requirements that you need to be able to be competitive at the global stage, right? And so we have now arrived at that stage as a country, and hopefully we'll maintain that, right, going forward.
Yeah, among all the quotes and comments, I really liked what Parul Chaudhary said right after she won the gold. She said the UP government has a policy that if you win a gold medal at the Asian Games, you will be offered a DSP rank in the police, right? And this was in my mind while we were going all out in the last lap of the race.
Yeah, I think her gold medal performance and the last few moments are like spectacular, right? Like you can make a nice
Yeah.
movie out of how inspiring it was. Yeah.
Amazing, yeah. Track and field success just hits very, very differently, right? And our 4x400 meter boys had set an Asian Games record anyway, right? I mean, about
Yeah,
what
so
is it?
they
Maybe a couple
had
of months
set
back.
an Asian record in the world athletics, but I think they just missed a medal in the finals. Here, of course, they
Yeah,
comfortably won gold. But like we are maybe a second away from, getting global medals in track and field. That's incredible, right? So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, both of us are of the same generation. We've heard this trope of 1.4 billion people can't produce medals and all of that
yeah.
shit,
And to be
right? So
honest, like
hopefully,
we would not even imagine. So this is the thing, right? Like
yeah,
our generation could not imagine that we could do anything, and a PT Usha having a one-off case like PT Usha would be celebrated, right? Now we can say that, let's say in 6 years, right? Let's say whenever is the next, like the Olympics after that, right? So let's say 6 years down the line, you can expect that Indians will be competitive in 5 to 10 track and field events, right? Like that's
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. The government has also spent about 450 crores in the current Olympic cycle to support athletes towards foreign exposure, national camps, quality coaches, and support staff and equipment. More than 350 proposals of TOPS group athletes worth about 45 crores have also been approved under the ministry's top scheme in this Olympic cycle alone. Well, let's hope that all of this pays off and we have good results in the upcoming Olympics. Well, there's a continuing immigration crisis in the US, definitely challenging times for the country. It has seen a massive inflow in millions of refugees and migrants crossing the border illegally to seek asylum. Several videos have gone viral on X showing the pathetic state of affairs in the first world country, with several thousand sleeping on sidewalks. Mayors in several cities have announced that they are at capacity with hospitals, hotels, and many other venues running out of space to house the refugees. Abhishek, I just cannot understand this. I mean, I don't know. Hope you will help me make sense of this, right? Because U.S. immigration, if you look back at 60s and 70s, it was give us your engineers and doctors and everything, and we have the opportunities to sort of help them, make money, build wealth, and grow professionally, right? I mean, if you look at the Indian or Asian immigration of that time, it was that, right? I mean, to now at a point where you have these people just streaming in from across the borders, just feels like a self sabotage of the country. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even feel like a partisan thing, right? I mean, it's not like the Democrats are, even though the Democrats are slightly worse off than the Republicans. I mean, I feel like even the Republicans are not making too much of an issue out of this. What do you think is happening?
This has been like a continuous problem for quite a long time now, right? It sort of sees waves, right? Where sometimes there is a sort of drop, and then, some situation changes, and then there is a spurt, right? And so the immigration from the Central American countries or Mexico is sort of going to continue unabated, simply because it's kind of similar to how, let's say, the immigration from some of the poorer Middle East or African countries happens to Europe, right? So the situation in the host country or the originating country is so bad for so many people that they are willing to take a chance on their life itself to somehow enter United States or Europe, right? I mean, that's the basic situation. Like, these people are okay to die in order to sort of escape wherever they are coming from. And so the basic point I'm trying to say is that till the situation in their host countries improves, I do not see the influx of potential immigrants reducing. Now, the second
No,
point
but why are
is,
they not stopping
yeah,
actually?
so coming to that. Now, the second point is, what can America do about it, right? Donald Trump had a practical solution that he would build a wall, right? Of course, he lied about it that he would get Mexico to pay for it. I mean, that was never going to happen, but his logic was sound, right? That you need a wall to basically stop it. Now, obviously, he built part of it during his tenure, but now to the other side, to the liberals, like that's something wrong, right? They feel like there should be no walls, no borders. I don't know how much they are willing to stretch their imagination on this, but basically what happens is they will publicly denounce something like a wall, but under Biden also they have tried to strengthen their border security. But as you said, as you can see from the recent videos, etc., they have kind of failed to do that as well, right? And so right now it's a very sort of tragic situation where you have these people streaming in. You have sort of half-hearted attempt by the US to stop. Ultimately, many of them come through, and then there's also a shortage of judges who do these immigration trials. And the people also have realized that if you go via the legal route, you will most likely be asked to leave. So they just prefer to remain as undocumented immigrants, right? Illegal immigrants in US, and they feel that that situation of being an illegal immigrant in the US is better than being a citizen or resident of their host country. And so this you have like this suboptimal situation in every which way. Obviously, the Republicans will talk a big game in their primaries and debates, and maybe they will be proactive to stop it. But ultimately, I think the situation is so bad that it's never going to be fully solved unless someone really does get serious about building walls and investing heavily in security guards and the whole infrastructure around the southern border.
Yeah, they'll definitely need more than walls, right? I mean, apparently, I mean, the tunnels are so sophisticated that trucks can drive through them and so on, right? I mean, it's pretty
I mean,
insane.
it is
Uh,
also linked to the whole drug economy and all those kind of things,
Cartel, yeah.
cartels and all that, right? It's a very sort of
No,
complex
certainly an
situation.
unfortunate situation. I mean, I feel pretty sad for the locals and the residents in some of these places, right? I mean, I was just watching videos of New York being like completely overrun with all of these migrants and some skirmishes with the locals and residents, right? So tough situation. I think Douglas Murray has this point, right, that you know while you are merciful and while you are kind and courteous to the people coming in, right? What about the people who already exist, whose lives are going to be forever changed with this, right? So well, and that's not all that is happening in the US. On the political front, former President Donald Trump's legal woes continue with several counts of felonies and indictments beginning court proceedings. Currently, he is being grilled in the New York State Supreme Court over the past 4 days and has missed a couple of GOP presidential debates, allowing Vivek Ramaswamy, there's a name that you didn't think will appear in US primary debates, at least the Republican primary debates. He has taken a lead. Did you watch the debates, Abhishek?
I've seen a few of the highlights, but yeah, not really. because this year, it seems like Biden versus Trump repeat seems sort of inevitable. So kind of lost a bit of interest in the primaries.
Yeah, but I don't know if Trump will be allowed to compete. I mean,
Yeah, I
they, at
mean,
least
in
they're
terms of voting, he obviously wins the Republican side, but then it's a question of legal challenges stopping.
yeah.
Yeah.
The latest charges they've brought on him are pretty severe. I mean, they're invoking the RICO laws. I mean, which is used to sort of indict, mobsters, right? And that too, this is in the state of Georgia, where supposedly the laws are super strict, right? So much so that if he's indicted, I mean, if he fails prosecution, basically, I mean, he will not be able to pardon himself, even as a president, right? So yeah, they're definitely, the establishment is going to make sure that he doesn't contest. At least that's what it seems like from the outside, right? Well, with that, we come to the end of the Bharatvaarta Weekly. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite platform so that more people can discover us. We publish a couple of episodes, as I mentioned, every week on our channel. Do check them out. And if you have any comments, any thoughts you'd like to share with us, we're at Bharatvaarta on most social platforms. Do reach out to us. Until next time, from Abhishek and myself, do stay safe, take care, and Jai Hind.